Hey Paupers, what's up Pauper Nation, how's it going? I'm Miles.
And I'm Bernie.
And we're back with another episode of the Jalapeno Paupers podcast. Today we are talking about the top 10 Aetherdrift Pauper Commanders. And there's 10 of them, and it's Aetherdrift, and it's Pauper Commanders.
Amen. I got nothing to add to that.
That's right. So, if you want to support us, please like, subscribe. That would be very helpful. Show some love there. We also will include in our description a TCG player affiliate link. So, if you want to pick up some of these sweet cards that we talk about today, anything else, head over to TCG, click our link. That would support us as well. So, thank you all for sticking with us. Let's jump into the top 10 uncommon Pauper Commanders from Aetherdrift. You want to start off with number 10?
Sure. Yeah. All right. Number 10. Let's stick with this one.
Okay.
I like talking about this card more.
This is a cool card.
So number 10, we're gonna start off with a red card, Dracosaur Auxiliary. It's 4 red for 4/4 dragon dinosaur dragon mount. So already
Very cool types.
off to the races. Fantastic card type. Has flying and haste. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, it deals 2 damage to any target, and it has saddle 3. I think it's just a fun card. I don't know if it'll see a ton of play. If a lot of people play it, mono red is usually burn, like a low to the ground ping aggro kind of deck. So a 6-mana commander.
It's expensive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on the expensive side.
For 4/4 flyer haste. And then crew 3, you're going to have to... So it's going to be a new style of deck if it pops up. It'll be a new style of a red deck.
But you can saddle it right away when it comes in.
Yeah.
And by that time in the game, you probably can afford to saddle 3. Or you probably have enough on the board to saddle 3.
Yep.
So flying haste, 4/4, ping something for 2 when it comes in.
Yeah.
So decent.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I think it's a fun card, cool types, and kind of an interesting mechanic there. So
Yeah. Yeah, the new... that saddle's not new, actually. Saddle's a returning mechanic.
Right.
But getting more support for saddle is cool.
Yeah. Okay. Number 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 9.
Number 9, we have a blue card, Sabotage Strategist. It's 2 blue for a 2/2 with flying vigilance. It says, whenever one or more creatures attacks you, those creatures get -1/-0 until end of turn. You can also exhaust it, which is a new mechanic. That's a one-time effect. You pay a cost and you get a benefit one time. And the exhaust is 5 and 2 blue to put 3 1/1 counters on this creature. So, late game, you buff it into 5/5. Flying Vigilance, which is awesome. So, I think I like this card. It's a little expensive, 4 mana 2/2 Flying Vigilance, but I think the static ability is the big one here. So, it'll protect you. It also... I think key, it says whenever one or more creatures attacks you. So there might be some slight deflection to say, hey, if you attack someone else, you're going to get your creatures won't be debuffed. So I think this is a good kind of protection wall. And then late game, switch it into a 5/5 that attacks in the air and has vigilance. So I don't know.
Yeah, the more I've thought about our list here, I was not very high on this one. You kind of were the encourager for this one making the list. But the more I've thought about it, I really think it's going to be a fun one to build around because I like that -1/-0 not being fully symmetrical, so that it's only when they attack you.
Right.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking build this blue deck to be a deck that wants to kind of mess up combat for your opponents. And that seems a lot of fun to me. So, and the vigilance and flying is great. The vigilance is huge. If this didn't have vigilance, I'd be a lot lower on it. But I'm coming around to this one. I think I'm going to try some stuff out with this guy because it sounds really fun.
Yeah. How many gold are in blue?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
This is found 3.
Yeah.
3 gold, but then we also found one card with the Suspecto mechanic from Murder's Card
Oh,
Mana.
yep,
That's-
yep.
You can kind of use it in a similar way, at least.
Right.
Where they can't block and they have menace, so it turns an opponent's creature into a good attacker, a better
Right.
attacker.
Yeah. And with the static, it encourages them to send that somewhere else.
Yeah. So there's some neat things you can try to do with this that I think are going to be fun.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, number 8.
Number 8 is another one that I think both of us might have been low on.
Yeah.
But the more we thought about it, we decided we wanted it. This probably would make our top 10.
Yeah.
And it is a 2-color, so that also gives it a little edge
Yeah, that helps a
over
lot.
some other cards. But this is Boon Scholar. So it's 1 red and green for a 3/3 Goblin Advisor. It says exhaust abilities of other permanents you control cost 2 less to activate. Kind of flavor text on this card.
Yeah. Not a lot of applicable stuff right now.
Yeah, and so exhaust, the last commander we talked about had exhaust. That's a one-time cost to get some sort of benefit on whatever your creature is. This guy has exhaust for 4, a red and a green. Creatures and vehicles you control gain trample until end of turn. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. So it turns it into a 5/5 with trample, but more importantly, it gives all of your creatures trample for the turn. So it's like a mini overrun, one-time use on your commander, unless you can flicker him or bounce him, or he dies.
Recast him. Yeah.
The issue that we had with him was that first ability. I think we were focusing a little too much on that, why we didn't think he was that great. Because there are only 4 cards
Right.
that
And
have...
those cards are pretty good.
They are. And so getting a reduction on those 4 cards' exhaustibility, like, that makes those cards even better.
Right.
Like, a lot better if their exhaust is cheaper. But I think having that instant speed while you're attacking, the threat of giving everything you've got trample is really good.
Yeah.
Better than I thought it was initially. So I like this guy a lot. 3 mana 3/3 is also just kind of solid.
Yeah.
And in red and green, you've got a lot of ways to give haste. So yeah. Anything else?
Big stompy. No, I'll just rattle off those.
Yeah, let's talk
The
about those for a
exhaust
second.
cards. We don't have to go too much into them, but
No.
just kind of FYI, Stampeding Scurryfoot is a 1/1 with an exhaust ability that buffs it and creates a 3/3 elephant. Prowcatcher Specialist is a red 2/1 with an exhaust ability that puts counters on it. Camera Launcher is a 3-mana artifact 2/2 with an exhaust ability that puts counters on that creature and creates a Thopter. And then Hazard of the Dunes is a cool card. It's a 3 and a green for a 4/4 trample reach with an exhaust ability that puts 3 counters on that creature. So you get a cost reduction on all those exhaust abilities, and they're all pretty solid creatures. So yeah, I think you'd want to include all those in the deck. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
Just for some extra value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, number 7, kind of comparable to the Boom Scholar a little bit. It's Greenbelt Guardian. It's 1 and a green for a 2/2 Elf Ranger, and you can pay a green. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. Has an exhaust ability for 3 and a green to put 3 counters on this creature. So, similar to the Boom Scholar of enabling haste, enabling trample, you lose a color, but this card is awesome. I think big stompy green creatures, and you can give them trample, instant speed, and also it says target creature. Doesn't have to be your creature.
Yeah, that's huge.
Sneaky.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. And this one's pretty straightforward, right? Not complicated, as green is typically not.
Yeah,
They just want to turn creatures sideways.
Yeah, and I love that it doesn't have to tap to do that. So
More than once, you can
hold up all your mana.
Yeah.
Don't do anything before combat. Ever.
Yeah.
Just go to combat and always have that threat of, I'm going to give this trample.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's
it's solid. 2 mana. It's just, you're going to always be able to have this guy.
Right, and it's an elf, which is a great type, so yeah, it's cool. And then you can just buff it, Make it a 5/5 later.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6. This is another one we were lower on, I think, before, and we actually ended up playing with this one to see kind of how it changed our mind, how much more powerful it ended up being than I think either of us thought it would be. And then we went back and looked at some other cards to compare with it, but this is the Embalmed Descendant. So it's Orzhov Commander, 1 white black for a 1/2 zombie. It has Start Your Engines. This is a new mechanic from the set. And how it works is it says if you have no speed, it starts at 1. It increases once on each of your turns when an opponent loses life. Max speed is 4. So when this guy enters the battlefield, you start tracking this new mechanic of max speed. When he enters, you create a 2/2 zombie creature token. So that's awesome. So it's 3 mana for a 1/2 and a 2/2. And then it has max speed. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So it's got that death trigger, similar to like a Blood Artist effect, but on your Orzhov commander, so you get an extra color compared to Blood Artist. You'd have to do a little bit of work for it, but we found that wasn't too difficult.
Yeah, I was hesitant because it looked really slow to turn on that effect, and I was like, oh man, what does it do until then? But after seeing it in action, it did fine.
Yeah.
It did really well, and it didn't take too long to turn that on. The other important thing about Start Your Engines, you don't have to deal combat damage. They can lose life anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
But it has to be on your turn anyway. So there's other ways to do that outside of combat, and if you just cause them to lose life on your turn, great. I think you can get up to max speed. It's easier than initially thought. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can turn them on pretty quick, and then the life gain was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And so this does have a counterpart. There's a card called Cruel Celebrant.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Cruel Celebrant.
Yeah.
Just white and black, so 1 less mana. And it just has this static ability. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses life, you gain a life.
Right. It's already turned on.
Yeah, you don't have to do any work for it. You don't get the second body, which I think is actually really good.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you cast this once, you pay 3 mana, you get 2 bodies. These decks want bodies to be sacrificing.
Yep.
So getting an extra paying an extra mana to get that body, and if you recast it twice, you're paying more mana, obviously, but you're getting 4 bodies for the same price.
Right.
As you would to recast another command, the Cruel Celebrant twice.
Right.
So it comes with 2 bodies. This brings 2 each time.
Cast it twice. There's 4. Yep. Yeah.
So I really like it. I like it a lot more than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Where I would have originally put it.
Agreed. Totally. So the deck is pretty. It's not a new deck, or it's pretty well known, but I think it's a pretty cool commander.
Yeah. All right. Top 5.
Here we go. We're doing it. Cracking the top 5. All right. Number 5 is Transit Mage. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 human wizard. And it says, when this creature enters, you may search your library for an artifact card with mana 4 or 5. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay. Tutor effects are already powerful. The Transit Mage has some specific things you can tutor for, some restrictions on that. So the biggest question is, what do you search for? Yeah. What's worth getting? Why is this good? So, in our opinion, we did a little search, and what would we search for? I think at 4 mana, Brass Knuckles is an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
That's one
so good.
Yeah, that's a sweet one. Gives your stuff double strike.
Really like Filigree Attendant.
Yes.
2 and 2 blues. Flyer. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, so it's a star 3.
Yep.
I mean, if you're playing this guy, you're building it as an artifact deck.
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
Going to be 6, 7, 8, 3 flyer.
Yeah. So I think that's the key too. Is like, yes, this now we're seeing this is an artifact deck for sure. Like this kind of builds itself and says, hey, these cards synergize with each other. You're going to want lots of artifacts. And the filigree attendant, huge payoff, and you can go search for it. I think it's great. And then you you flicker it, you get a brass knuckles, you stick it on your filigree.
Yeah.
Kaboom. Okay. And then to help you, Ancestral Statue is another 4 mana. When the Ancestral Statue enters, it's a 4 mana 3/4 artifact. When it enters, you return a non-land permanent you control to your hand, so you can, bounce your Transit Mage. There's Staunch Throw-Guard at 5 mana to get the Monarch, and then there's Hole Drifter to draw cards. Yeah. So there's lots of good payoffs, and I think it's powerful enough. Just, tutoring is powerful, right? Mm-hmm. We know this. And then flickering, there's plenty of ways to do that in blue, so I think it's good enough and powerful enough to be our number 5.
Yeah, I love the art too.
Oh yeah, the art
really
is
cool.
The art is sweet for sure. He's holding a guitar and there's some sort of the flavor text is cool too. Remember, you can take the wheel if you want, but I choose the music.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. It is so good. Okay, number 4. No, these are getting spicier.
Yes.
We've got Legorin, Soul of Alakria. So Selesnya commander, green and a white, for a 1/1 flyer beast mount. Whenever Legorin attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target mounts and or vehicles. Saddle 1. There is another mount commander from Mountain Vehicle Commander from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, Miriam, but it's not a mount itself, and so I like this as an alternative option, maybe an upgraded option. For a 1/1 flyer that is a mount, it attacks on turn 3 and starts buffing up all of your stuff, including itself.
Right.
You can put that counter on itself.
Yep.
Really good. The deck is going to be identical, I think, to that deck, though. Just who you want as your commander.
Yeah.
So it's nothing too novel, but I think having multiple options for different archetypes is always a good thing.
Yep. Flying is awesome. Saddle 1 is very affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a lot to say. I think it's going to be a solid deck, though.
If you
especially with the new vehicles, the new mounts that's printed. So you got some upgrades for your old version of the deck. And potentially new commanders.
Yep. If you like mounts and vehicles, this is a great option for sure. Okay, number 3. Ooh, this one's
baby.
This one's so cool. Sky Serpent Seeker, green and a blue for a 1/1 flying death touch, and that's it.
No, that's not it.
That's not gotcha. All right, you're paying attention because it has an exhaust ability for 4 generic, which is cool. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal 2 land cards. Put those lands onto the battlefield, tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So we've seen this one in action as well. Oh my goodness.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's crazy. So I'm just thinking, best case scenario, ceiling for this card. I mean, I don't know. It's also interesting because we've talked about this card a lot, and there's lots of different directions you can go, ways to build it. And I think you put different pieces together, and it's just, I don't know. It's this effect, the exhaust effect is just so good, and it's instant speed. I don't know. You can just do so much with it.
Yeah. What somebody said is what has made this card start growing on me a lot is usually when you have a Simic deck in more casual, you're doing big ramp, and then you're playing Ulamog's Crusher, you're playing your 7 mana 6/6s, your big stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This can do that, but you can also sprinkle in a lot of landfall cards.
Yes.
You can do other things. Like, there's so many different people. It's a more unique deck than just a Simic go big deck.
Yeah.
Because of this ability. And it's so much fun to build around and to, combine all your different Simic ideas.
Yes.
Be able to do it all. Throw in weird lands. Because you're gonna get.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't just get basics. Throw in some deserts. Have some desert synergies. Throw in some fetch lands so that you're thinning your deck even more. That's another big thing we found. A lot of times you wanted to shuffle your deck because you do this ability 3 times. The bottom of your deck is now all your non-land cards.
Right.
You didn't get a keep.
Yes.
So they're just kind of gone. But if you have ways to shuffle, it turns this into a deck thinning ability also.
Yeah. So I mean,
Which is
Evolving
great.
Wilds, the other shuffle effects, but especially land cards that help you shuffle too. This will find them, and you can shuffle. The instant speed, I think. So you can do it at end step, and then you can untap with those lands. Also, the Flying Death Toucher, you just block with it.
Yeah. You just care less.
Right.
It's getting the 2, it's commander tax.
Yes.
On its ability.
You simply block with it. You recast it. You do it again. My goodness, it's
awesome.
really cool. I think I like the landfall stuff,
It's cool. It's really good.
especially at instant speed. But yeah, anytime you want to trigger that, you can surprise people with additional 1/1s. There's a couple of landfalls that give you 1/1s, but I don't know. I think it's a really cool commander, really fun effect, and Simic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of good stuff.
For
A lot of
sure.
fun stuff. And the art is so... I love the art. I think it's so just easy on the eyes. It's so beautiful. This beautiful peacock snake thing.
yeah. What is going on with the tail? Yeah, and the
Love
wings
it.
too, right?
Yeah. Love it.
It is cool.
Okay. Top 2. Number
Okay.
2.
Yep.
We got a Boros commander, the Cloud Spire Coordinator, red and a white for a 3/1 human pilot. When this creature enters Scry 2, it also has an activated ability. You can tap it, create X 1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens, where X is the number of mounts and or vehicles that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. The tokens have, this token saddles mounts and cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. This guy is really good too. A 3/1 for 2, solid body to swing in with if you want to, where you don't even need to use him as an attacker at all.
Yep.
And just play your mounts and vehicles and create pilots to pilot those up, or just have 6-7 blockers, 1/1 bodies. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. He kind of sits in the background. He's unassuming, and he just does his thing.
Yeah.
You're probably going to be making 1 to 2 pilots.
Yeah.
Not much more than that. If you make more than that, awesome. That's a huge turn.
Yeah.
But you'll see this guy in action too. But yeah, I played with him. I was making 1 to 2 pilots. And then, of course, you want to fill your deck with mounts and vehicles.
Yep.
Which there's some beaters. So and it's just super easy to crew them. All these pilots crew and mount for 3. So it's awesome. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The Scry 2.
Yep.
The Scry. Were you gonna say?
I was going to say, but you go ahead. This is your guy.
He is cool. So yeah, the Scry 2 just helps you get there too. Like you cast him on turn 2, turn 3, or turn 1, or turn 2 if you can get there. But most likely turn 3, right? And then
I like the Scribe because he helps with your opening hand decision. That's what I like about it.
oh, okay.
So you can maybe keep hands that you otherwise wouldn't.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You can play him, and then you're getting to look
if
deeper.
you can cast him from your hand, from your hand, if you can cast him on turn 2, then you can keep more risky hands.
Riskier, or you just get to look deeper.
Yeah, I was also thinking, he comes in and scries 2, and then you get that mount or that vehicle.
Yeah, that too.
Right.
Yeah, either one. It's like you can keep a hand that doesn't necessarily have
Yes.
lands or mounts and vehicles.
Right.
Because you have the ability to do some deck manipulation,
Yes,
top deck
yes.
manipulation, really early on.
So he smooths the top of your deck and helps you get there. Yeah, that Scry 2 is overlooked, but I think important. We're on to number 1.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about any cool cards?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of them.
We're going to keep you in suspense for just one
I'll
moment.
choose one, you choose one.
Okay. We're going to talk about some cool cards before we get to our number 1.
Have some honorable mentions, if you would. I think I'll lead off with a 2-colored card that, I mean, it's got potential. It's tricky. It's the red-black commander. So it's one in a black. It's a black and a red for a 2/3 lizard berserker. His name is Gastral Thrill Seeker. It's a pretty cool card, name and type, but it has start your engines. So this is your start your engines commander for this set. It says when this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you gain 1 life. So you're just pinging 1 opponent. I wish that said each opponent.
Yeah.
That has max speed. This creature has death touch and haste. So I think best case scenario with this guy, you're throwing all the max speed cards from the set in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're gonna be too, like, what's the word? Too. You're
Dependent
not
on the commander,
conservative with your choices. Like,
sure.
If it
Yeah.
says max speed on the
if
card, it's going in the deck.
Yeah.
It's nice that he's 2 mana, so you can start your engines on turn 2.
I think that's the most important part, right? Is just you want to get your engine started early, and he does it.
And there are some good payoffs for having max speed on some common cards in the set.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus for it. The deck you're building is going to be an aggro deck. It's going to be a pinger deck because you're going to be wanting to make sure you get to max speed by turn 4. But I don't know how good it will be.
Right. It's the start your engines is probably not going to see a lot of support after this, right?
I can't imagine.
Maybe
it feels kind of
eventually.
unsetish. Like it doesn't feel like an evergreen mechanic that you could go back to much.
Yes.
So that's the problem.
Someday we'll return, but look forward to that in some years.
Yeah.
But yes, this is the signpost guy, the start your engines guy. So if you want to build around that, this is your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that some decks are more reliant on their commanders, and if they get removed, your deck shuts down. But that's not the case. You just want him to come in and start your engines, and then you don't care what happens to him after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if you do recast him late, when you've got your max speed,
he'll have death touch and haste.
Well, that's solid.
Bada bing.
That makes him a lot more worth it.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how much support it gets, and even the support it already has, if it's worth caring about that, or just run any other Rakdos commander that's going to be doing similar stuff already. So, what do you got?
Okay, my cool card is the Spike Shell Harrier.
Okay.
It's a 4 and a blue for a 4/4 robot turtle. Probably my favorite type of the set. It's very cool. When this creature enters, return target creature or vehicle an opponent controls to its owner's hand. If that opponent's speed is greater than each other player's speed, reduce that opponent's speed by 1. This effect can't reduce their speed below 1. So a speed, specific mechanic, but it bounces something. But it's not a great card. It doesn't, but it's a cool card, and that's why I wanted to mention it. Because if you see the art, it's a blue shell. It's a strong reference to Mario Kart and the blue shell and the first place person. So the joke is the player with the most speed is in first place, and then you throw the green shell and it reduces their speed, or the blue shell. And also I love turtles, and I have a turtle deck, and the more turtles I see, I'm like, yes, more turtles, please. I want to build a Ninja Turtle deck someday with all ninjas and all turtles and a rat as their commander.
Yeah,
so
that would be really cool.
This helps with that. Well, sort of. But yeah, that's my cool set. That's my cool card for the set.
Okay.
Should we get to number 1?
People what they want.
Yeah, they've been clamoring for it, slamming their keyboards,
waiting this whole
screaming, get to number 1. All right, chill. We will. But first,
subscribe.
And then we'll show you number one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's my turn.
It is your turn. Finish us off.
Veteran Beast Rider. 1 green, white. For a 3/4 human knight. At the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control. And then you can pay 2, a green and a white. So creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This is a crazy card.
It's so crazy.
It's so good. So just vanilla, 3 mana, 3/4.
Oh.
Really good. And then that ability, that passive at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control. So, oh my goodness, so many applicable things. My mind goes to mana dorks and tapping for mana, and then you untap them. You can do that again. I think looking into that. What do you want to use your mana for at instant speed in these colors? I think a lot of combat tricks. A lot of those effects, buff effects, so the fogs, those kinds of things in those colors. So you want to be playing at instant speed if you're focusing on mana dorks. But also, it just also gives pseudo vigilance for all your creatures. You don't have to worry about swinging in with a bunch of your beaters and then worrying about the crackback. You've got pseudo vigilance. You can buff everyone as well. You can buff them on combat. You can buff them on defense. You can do it at instant speed. You can do it more than once. Oh my gosh.
So good.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it wants to go wide. You want to go wide for sure. Mm-hmm. Your mana dorks can help you do that. There's a weird other synergy that I don't know if it's any good, but rebels. There's 2 rebels at common. I believe they're both at common. That you tap them, you pay mana, and you tap them. One of them goes and tutors for a 2 mana or less rebel, puts it on the battlefield. The other one, you pay 4 and tap it, and it tutors for a mana value 3 or less rebel, puts it on the battlefield. So you can essentially use that ability on each of those twice per turn cycle. Once on your turn, it'll untap. Do it again on your opponent's end step or whatever, and just go wide that way.
Yeah.
Just fill it with rebels. There's not a lot of rebels. There's like 15 to 20, I think. So
That's cool.
tutor.
Yeah.
Straight to the battlefield, not to your hand, just straight on the battlefield.
That's
They're not
really
great.
good.
They're like weak. They're vanilla things.
Then you buff them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird stuff that you could do. I'm sure there's other like weird things that you can do with this.
Right.
And yeah, again, I don't know how good that'll be, but just something we found.
It's something interesting.
Research and
yeah.
stuff.
What are the payoffs for the untapping? So I don't know. We mentioned some obvious ones. What do you guys think? How would you break this commander? What are some obvious things that you would do? What do you want to untap with? I think there's a lot of possibilities, which makes this really cool. And be creative. Break it however you think.
Mm-hmm.
However you want to play with it. It's just a really cool commander. It's big. Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts, Miles, on these commanders? Where would you excitement level for this set in general, but specifically when we're talking about these commanders?
Before the set came out, I was, looks fine. After the set, after I started seeing cards and more about the set, I was pleasantly surprised and, happy and more excited than I anticipated. So,
yeah.
I think there's a couple good ones for sure. Personally, I think the Sky Serpent Seeker is really cool. That's a really interesting deck. The Veteran Beast Rider is really cool. I would love to kind of tinker with that one a bit more and, see what that could turn into. I think there's some cool ones for sure. We'll talk about the commons though too.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be excited about at common as well.
Yeah. I think I'm probably same level as you. There's maybe 2 or 3 that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Overall, a little bit lower than some sets in the past, probably.
Sure.
Just 'cause I'm not a huge fan of the mechanics, the new mechanics. Like I said earlier, it's got a slight unset feel to it.
Yeah. Just the setting.
Just all of it. The whole mood of this set. And I am glad. Like Sky Serpent Seeker feels like a magic card. That one
Yeah.
doesn't have the vibe that I was talking about. So there's a handful that I think I'm pretty excited for.
True. Yeah.
But it did hit better than expected.
Yes.
So that's a plus.
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
What do we miss? What are we wrong about? Which is probably nothing. What are we right about? What do you agree with? And just put everything. If you agree with everything, of course you do. What are you excited about? What commander do you think you'll build around? Okay. You know what time it is?
I do.
Are you ready? You've been studying?
Have
you been memorizing every
my failures?
Have you been memorizing every magic card?
I like a dictionary that I used to read every night in elementary school. I've just been random cards, Scryfall.
Good.
Read, memorize, read, memorize.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm ready.
It's 20 common questions.
Oh boy. Oh, I go for it. I need to ask something.
You're up, buddy. You're up.
I'm up. That's my cue. Is it a permanent?
No.
Is it an instant?
No.
Is it a sorcery?
Yes.
Is it white?
No.
Is it blue?
No.
Is it black?
Yes.
Now I have to ask this question, but it feels bad. Should have started with this. Is it more than one color?
No.
Okay. Is it 3 CMC or less?
Yes.
Is it 3 CMC?
No.
Is it 2?
Yes.
Okay.
You're at 10.
Every 10, halfway. Let's see. I always ask this, and I don't know why I ask this, because I don't know if it helps me whatsoever. Has it been printed in the last 2 years?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Does it have more than one printing? Sorry, does it have more than one printing?
Yes, it has many printings.
Okay. 2-mana instant. Black. Many printings. Has been reprinted in the last 2 years. Does it destroy something?
Yes.
Does it do something else also?
Yes.
Man. Does it have an additional cost?
No, that's 15.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
5 questions left.
Destroys something and does something
4
else.
questions and a guess.
And this is not going to end well.
You can ask for the flavor text.
Oh, good. I could do that. That would not help.
I will allow you to ask for the flavor text.
Oh my goodness. Does it specify destroy a creature? Is destroy a creature on the card?
It does say destroy and creature on the card. Is that your question? Okay, good. you can do this. Come on, dig deep. You know this card.
I'm sure that I do.
It's not a.
The do something else is really messing with me right now.
Don't worry too much about that. It's sort of an afterthought for the card, so don't focus on that part.
Okay. 2 mana.
2 mana, sorcery,
gonna get this.
destroy creature.
Oh, so, yeah, it's sorcery. We said sorcery. not
yeah,
instant. Okay.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
There you go.
I was thinking instance.
Okay. Go into your sorcery file.
That file is much less filled up than the instant 2 mana destroy creatures.
You guys know what it is.
So my
obviously.
guess. How many more questions?
You've got 3 questions and a guess.
Does it have flashback?
No.
Does it have cycling?
No.
Okay. We're out. We're in a lot of trouble here. Yeah, I know you said don't focus on the other thing, but I have to. It's not my brain is not letting me not focus on the other thing.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to read the flavor text?
Sure. Yes.
Maybe it'll spark something.
Maybe. Well.
On vile wings and bloody wind, the swarm will rise. A skyclave inscription.
Ooh, skyclave. Okay, so that means it came from Zendikar. Potentially.
See, I knew he'd get it from the flavor text.
2-mana sorcery. Destroy. That did help actually a lot. Okay. I think I know it now.
Okay, you've got one question and a guess.
One question. Okay. I said, okay, my going back. My question was, does it do something else? What was the one thing that we already said? I said destroy creature, right?
Correct.
No, I said destroy something. That's, I think, what's throwing me.
You said both.
But first I said, does it destroy something?
Yes,
And then I said, does it do
yes.
something else?
Yes.
Other than destroy something?
Yes.
I don't know then. Okay. Does it destroy... Could it destroy more than one thing? Is that what you meant by that?
Could it...
A creature or an enchantment?
State your question.
Can it destroy a creature or an enchantment?
Yes.
Okay, I have that's it, right?
Yeah.
I'm on my guess.
Yeah,
Does it
you're-
feed the swarm?
Yes,
All
it
right.
is. Let's go.
Let's go. But see, that only does one thing. That's what was throwing me. It only destroys one of them. It
You lo-
destroys something.
You lose life equal to that permanent mana value.
Gosh. Yep.
That was the
Forgot about that part.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said. That's
yeah.
that's
You're
sort of
right.
an afterthought for this card.
Oh my gosh.
You often just kind of we often forget about that card. Feed the Swarm, 1 and a black, sorcery. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value.
Yep. I would not have figured that out if you didn't read the flavor text.
Really?
Yeah, because
Yes.
Skyclave made me think of Zendikar. And then, yeah.
Whoa, look at you,
Yep.
Magic Historian.
Yep. Zendikar Rising.
Also,
First
it
printing.
says Swarm in the flavor text.
Oh,
On vile,
yes, that's
on
right.
vile wings and bloody
Oh
wind, the
my
swarm
gosh.
will rise.
I didn't even connect that.
I know. As soon as I read that, I was like, "Oh, is that gonna give it away?"
Oh,
Great
man.
card, and one of the only ways that Black has to deal with enchantments.
The only way in common.
Yeah, I think wasn't there another one?
There's a new one from Duskworn, but it's an uncommon.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's often a go-to and
Yeah.
to help deal with that. So yeah, the lose the life is often forgot about, right? It's
Yeah.
sort of a
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, well it was exciting. Came down to the wire.
That
You
was
did it.
exciting. I did it. I needed some help, but I got
You
there.
dug deep. That's fine. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you next time. But don't forget to stay spicy.